All right, here we go. I'm at the range, about to take the very first shots out of this 629 Classic. All right, yeah, I stopped after 3. I'm a wimp. As expected, these wooden grips are painful under recoil, but that's okay. I brought rubber grips today as well. All right, there we go. Swapped out the grip, and yeah, nowhere near as pretty as the wood grip, but this should be a lot more comfortable. Let me go ahead and finish out that first cylinder. All right, so there you go. First 6 shots out of my new 629 Classic, 6.5-inch barrel. First 3 shots with the wood grips. Ouch. Next 3 with the rubber grips. Oh, world of difference, let me tell you. The sights seem to be dead on as far as elevation. I might have to mess with the windage. It seems to be shooting a little bit low. I might have to mess with the windage. It seems to be shooting a little bit low. But, that might just be me. This is my first time out with the gun. I'm not going to mess with the sights too much today. All right, let's just do some more shooting. Uh-oh. I stopped the video too soon on that last string. I only shot 5 times, not 6. I must have lost count in all the excitement. As much as I make fun of the substandard look of these rubber grips, I gotta admit, they work. I can shoot 44 Magnum all day long with these rubber grips on here. With the wooden grips, sure, they look pretty, but ooh, you saw, I quit after 3 rounds. It's that painful. So if you get the 629 Deluxe, your wood grips are going to be for just, showing it off, presentation style. But when it's time to go to the range, do some live fire, yeah, get yourself some rubber grips. All right, losing some daylight here. Gonna be dark soon, but hey, I'm at the range, the rifle range. No one else is here, so yeah, let me try the 629 Classic first time out, going out to 50 yards. Whoa, ended on a bad string there. Okay, so not exactly the world's greatest display of marksmanship, but in my defense, it is a 50-yard shot, and here's the steel target I was shooting at. It's not real big. Here's the size of my hand. But hey, I promise to practice up and get better for next time. Okay, I'm back at home where I can talk a little bit more about the 629 Deluxe. That's right, the Deluxe. In the range video, I called it the 629 Classic, and you know what? I'm not technically wrong. It does say 629 Classic right on the gun. Let me show that to you right now. We are empty. So if you look on the barrel, it does indeed say 629 Classic. But technically this is marketed by Smith & Wesson as the 629 Deluxe. That's SKU 150714. 629 Classic is SKU 163638. So what is the difference between the two? The grips, yeah. 629 Classic comes with, it'll come with some form of Hogue grips. I think it used to come with these. But if you look on Smith & Wesson's website, they have different grips on there. I don't know if those are made by Hogue or not. But anyway, yeah, 629 Classic comes with the rubber grips. Deluxe comes with the wood grips. And let's talk about the wood grips here for just a little bit. I chose the Deluxe because, well, I like the way these grips look. Again, boy, looks can be deceiving. These are pretty, but they're also pretty painful. And it's because, yeah, they're thin. See that? I mean, they're nice and fat here at the bottom. You know, yeah, insert Sir Mix-a-Lot joke there. You know, I like big butts, you know, I like the fat bottoms. Anyway, it's got a fat bottom, but it thins out here at the top. See that? See how thin that is? There's not much material there. It's not like the Target grips of old. And you know, we're gonna get into personal preferences here. Some people like these thin, you know, gunfighter style grips because if you need to do a quick draw, yeah, the thinner grips are better. You can get a purchase on these real quick. And even if your purchase on the grip isn't quite perfect, you know, because they're thin, you can still deal with it. You know, you can make those little micro adjustments. Whereas with a fat target grip, you know, harder to do a fast draw with those because, you know, if you don't get your grip quite perfect on that fat grip, it's just going to be awkward for you to shoot. And then you're going to have to spend some time kind of readjusting. In fact, Jerry Michalek touched upon this. If you look at his world record Revolver, the reason why it has those grips is because they're small, they're thin. That way Jerry can just reach down there, do the quick draw, and even if he doesn't get it quite right, he can still deal with it a lot better than not getting your draw quite right with a big fat target grip. But of course the trade-off is, oh, these thin gunfighter grips do hurt under recoil, but it doesn't really matter with Jerry Michalek's world record Revolver because I think that thing shoots 9mm. Not a whole lot of recoil there. But with 44 Magnum, ooh, man, the thin gunfighter grips are gonna hurt you. Now that being said, these have a nice understated look. Yeah, I know, I'm kind of obsessing over grips. Maybe I should start a new bumper. Welcome to another episode of The Grip Snob with your host, The Grip Snob. So yeah, I am kind of a grip snob as well. These have a nice satin finish to them. Gives them that nice understated look. I do prefer my grips to be on the glossier side. But that being said, for those of you who like the more understated look of a satin finish, well, here you go. as far as looks, these have that nice old school looking type of finish. As far as the texture, not as aggressive as I would like them to be. Like for example, if these were the nice fat Target grips that I would keep, I would like the texture to be a little more aggressive. You know, they've got this dragon scale looking thing here, and it just doesn't feel as aggressive as I think it should be. And you have like this stippling here. You can feel the texture, obviously. Just I think these need to be a little more aggressive. Anyway, doesn't really apply to me because oh, these things hurt so much. I went with the ugly rubber grips. Maybe I'll get some fancy wood Target grips for these later on down the line. Time now for another episode of The Trigger Snob with your host, The Trigger Snob. Okay, it's that time again. Yep, trigger snobbery. Safety check time first. That is clear. Now you're probably wondering why this gun is here. This is the 629 Competitor. What's it doing here? Because I'm pretty sure some of you are going to be asking, well, how good is the standard trigger versus the fancy Performance Center trigger? Well, let's give it a few pulls. Okay, so obviously the Performance Center trigger is going to feel lighter and ever so slightly a bit more slick. It's hard to articulate. It's one of those things where you just have to feel these guns for yourself. But undoubtedly the Performance Center trigger is better. Now, that being said, is this trigger terrible in double action? No, it is not. Okay, for a mass-produced factory revolver trigger that came out of the factory with no other special TLC, no, not that kind of TLC, so with no other extra care, put into this trigger, this is a really good trigger. It really is. Again, the performance trigger is going to feel more exquisite, but make no doubt about it. The 629 Classic and the 629 Deluxe's factory trigger is very, very good. Let's try single action now. Yeah, to be honest, there's not going to be a whole lot of difference in single action because, I mean, Smith & Wesson, whew. Okay, yeah. Again, the Performance Center trigger, oh boy, that is like a mouse click. But you know, this trigger is still very light. Okay. Cocking the hammer, the Performance Center trigger does feel a bit lighter, a bit slicker. But again, you know, you are paying more for the Performance Center, and you know, this is the reason why. You get a more slicked up trigger. But you know, make no mistake, don't feel like you're getting cheated out of trigger quality by getting one of the standard revolvers. This is still a very, very high quality trigger. Don't know why I opened up the cylinder there. I'm like compulsive. Yeah, this is still an excellent trigger, both in single action and in double action. So think of it this way, this is an excellent trigger, factory mass produced, and this one is, well, it's going to be going off into a, you know, exceptional league over here. Okay, just a few odds and ends here before I wrap up this video. This current production 629 Classic is built on the 629-6 frame, but these originally came out in 1990 using the 629-3 frame. And interesting to note, the 629 Classic is still currently being produced alongside the regular, or what I will call the standard 629. So what's the difference between the two? Well, for one thing, the Classic will have the word classic. right on the barrel. The regular or standard 629 will just have 629 on there. And oopsie, made a mistake there. The regular or standard 629 does not have 629 on the barrel. It will have Smith & Wesson on the barrel on one side and 44 Magnum on the other. Also, the Classic will have the full underlug. The standard 629 will just have the shroud. Another feature that separates the Classic from the standard is the quick change front sight. This is a toolless design. Let's look at the cylinder one more time because we're going to play with the muzzle. Well, play near the muzzle. As I said, it's a toolless design. The front sight is held in there by spring tension. So you're going to overcome the spring tension by pulling it back, and then you're going to tilt it out. So just pull back, tilt it out, and you've taken out your front sight. Whatever replacement front sight you choose will be installed just by reversing the procedure. Put it in the recess, pull or push against that spring, tilt it in. Whoops. As I screw up on camera, it's not this difficult, just that for whatever reason, whenever the camera's on, I screw up. So put it in there, overcome the spring tension, tilt it in, and there you go. Good design there by Smith & Wesson. The cylinder on this gun is chamfered. I was quite surprised by this. So, you know, it's not just beveled here, it's actually dehorned. So if you run your finger on here, yeah, it's all rounded. I did not expect that from a standard line 629. From the Performance Center, of course, I would expect that, but on a standard line, for it to be chamfered and dehorned like this, really nice. Nicely done, Smith & Wesson. Of course, the rear sight is fully click adjustable for windage and elevation. Hey, Colt, are you listening? This is how you do it, okay? The trigger is a target style trigger. It doesn't have the serrations, but it is a target style. See how it flares out there? So it is a wide, nice wide trigger. You got the nice wide target hammer. Gonna go on my soapbox here again. I know the Performance Center prides itself in being different than the standard line, but I really like the standard hammer. I really do. I like that nice wide spur as opposed to that what I think is a strange that teardrop style on the Performance Center triggers. I don't know. I'd rather have this spur, the wide spur. Anyway, yeah, let me get off my soapbox. The finish is a nice, I guess what Smith & Wesson calls a semi-bright or a bright. So it's not quite mirror polish, okay, but it's kind of getting there, all right? It will catch the light. Now this one's obviously a little dirty. I just got done shooting it, but you can see there, right? It's kind of like a, it's kind of like a faded mirror. It will catch some reflections. Anyway, I think it's a nice finish. And there you have it. A little bit of shooting and a little bit of table talk with the Smith & Wesson 629 Classic. Hope you enjoyed watching this video. Hey, give me a like, give me a subscribe, throw me some comments, share this video with your friends. Hey, you take care. Catch you all next time.